Warning, this video may potentially contain seizure triggers for those with photosensitive epilepsy. Viewer discretion is advised. What the fuck? Okay, so new desk layout, I guess. Okay, so quick summarization of what's happening. Some of my ideas got scrapped, delayed, and or might be projects I do in the future. But the point is that I'm finally back after a very, very long time. I'm so sorry. And I guess new season, new set, and I moved and changed my layout. So I hope you guys like it. I'm sorry for the no uploads, but now I'm going to lock in since the new school year is about to start, so I thought I would make a new episode of the Education Collection Season 2 to hold you guys off for a bit and make up for the no uploads. So, I'm sorry, but who doesn't love video games? With their fun-to-play stories, their amazing characters, iconic music, beloved art design, and their ruthless bad guys. Okay, now that we've done the thesis statement opening, let's get into the video, I guess. I don't know. Wait a minute, you know what? I should get changed. I mean, I am wearing a Resident Evil 4 shirt, but I feel like I should probably get changed into something better. Like I don't think me wearing the Nike shorts is a good outfit, so, yeah, let's get changed. Yeah, I got a Halloween costume for Season 2. Yeah, I did. I got it early this time. This time I did it early so I wouldn't miss Halloween. It's nice. Well, I guess it's time I do my research on RE4 OG and stuff. Wait a minute, is this gonna be another bit where we do a montage and then jump cut to me as a skeleton? What the? What did you do? Why are they in the bathroom? Look at how they massacred my boy! Wait, we're also at the thing. Come on! 20 seconds and then I'm done! Get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here, whatever it takes, whatever it takes! Let it in! Wait! Yes! Oh my god, it took forever! Holy shit! Hey, yo! Oh my god! Oh my god, I did it! It took weeks! Oh my god! Oh! Bro. How many times do I gotta teach you this lesson, old man? Where'd you get the shades from? How'd I get the jacket back? I thought we killed this bit all the way back in the Simpsons video where I end up like saying, oh, I gotta do all this research, and then it jump cuts to like it does a little montage or thing or title card saying I frickin' researched everything, and then it makes you think, oh, I died and turned into a skeleton every time. It's like, I thought we killed this bit all the way back in the Simpsons video. And I thought that's also why the Groundhog video didn't have it. So why is it back now? Like, God, it's absurd. It is so dumb. Like, get out! Okay, now we can finally get back to the video. Stop these meme shenanigans. Hi, my name's Braxton Molinaro, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Education Collection! So today's video is about one of my favorite games of all time.
Resident Evil 4.
More specifically about the history of its messy development. I will also talk about the story, its ports, the aftermath of its release, and my personal experience and history of playing the game. So timestamps will be out throughout the video, like I always do for long videos such as this. I will also use some of my own gameplay for some background footage. So let's explain what Resident Evil is.
Resident Evil.
Also known as
Biohazard.
in Japan, is a Japanese horror game series and media franchise created by Capcom. It consists of survival horror, third-person and first-person shooter games, with players typically surviving zombie apocalypses or variations of zombie apocalypses. They also have other mutated creatures and monsters throughout the series. The franchise has expanded into media, including a bunch of live-action films, animated films, a Dogcraft television series, comic books, merchandise, and so much more. Resident Evil is among the highest-grossing horror franchises of all time and is Capcom's best-selling franchise, with over 213 million copies sold worldwide as of mid-2026. The first Resident Evil game was created by Shinji Mikami and Tokihiro Fujiwara for and was released in 1996. It is credited for defining the survival horror genre and returning zombies back into pop culture. With Resident Evil 4 in 2005, the franchise shifted to more guns-blazing action, popularizing the over-the-shoulder third-person perspective in action games. The franchise returned to survival horror with Resident Evil 7 Biohazard from 2017, and its direct sequel, Resident Evil Village, from 2021, which both used a first-person perspective. Capcom has also released 4 Resident Evil remakes, which includes Resident Evil from 2002, Resident Evil 2 from 2019, Resident Evil 3 from 2020, and Resident Evil 4 from 2023, with a remake of Resident Evil Code Veronica from 2002 releasing in 2027. The ninth main installment, Resident Evil Requiem, was released earlier this year on February 27, 2026. So now let's get into the story of Resident Evil 4. In 2004, U.S. government agent Leon S. Kennedy, played by the GOAT, Paul Mercier, is on a mission to rescue Ashley Graham, the president's daughter, played by Carolyn Lawrence. Ashley has been kidnapped by a mysterious cult, which leads Leon to be sent to an unnamed village in Spain to search for her when he encounters a group of hostile villagers.
Look at this photograph.
It's Brittany, bitch.
Sorry to have bothered you.
These villagers pledged their allegiance to Los Illuminados, the cult who kidnapped Ashley. The villagers were once simple villagers until becoming infected by a mind-controlling parasite known as Las Plagas. Leon fights his way through the village, dropping a few one-liners along the way.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
While in the village, Leon is captured and injected with Las Plagas by its chief, B. Torres Mendez, aka Big Cheese! And yes, I did buy a cheese wheel and cut it just for this bit. as said by the person we are strapped to, Luis Serra, a former police officer in Madrid, and a former Los Illuminados researcher. He's played by Reno Romano. You could also call him Louis! The two work together to escape, but soon go their Leon then meets the myth, the legend, the golden goddess, the merchant, also played by Paul Mercier. Leon finds out Ashley is being held in a church and goes to rescue her, but not before fighting a giant salamander called Del Lago. Right after the fight, he goes into another fight with a giant monster called El Gigante. But hey, who cares about him compared to a giant salamander? Everyone. Everyone loves him more. I mean, his nickname is El Thick Boy, for goodness sakes. Leon and Ashley both escape from the church after Osmond Sadler, the leader of the cult, played by Michael Goff, reveals his plan to use the parasite they injected into Ashley to manipulate her way into spreading the parasite to the President of the United States of America with a sample once she returns home, allowing Sadler to begin his conquering of the world. After fighting and killing many of the villagers, including Mendez, Leon and Ashley try to escape to a castle, but are attacked by more Illuminados members under the command of Ramon Salazar, another of Sadler's henchmen who owns the castle, played by Rene Mujica. Leon and Ashley eventually get separated by Salazar's traps. Meanwhile, Luis searches for the pills that will slow Leon and Ashley's infection, as well as a sample of Las Plagas. He brings the two items to Leon, but is killed by Sadler, who takes the sample, while the pills to suppress the infection are given to Leon. While in the castle, Leon encounters Ada Wong, a woman from his past who supposedly died in Leon's campaign from Resident Evil 2, played by Sally Cahill. Ada supports him through his mission, while also operating to finish her own agenda to recover a Las Plagas sample for her current mysterious employer, which you can see more of through her Separate Ways DLC. Leon battles his way through the castle before killing Salazar and his right-hand man, Verdugo.
So maybe you have 9 lives, but it doesn't matter now, Mr. Kennedy. I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
Afterwards, Leon travels to a nearby research facility, where he continues the search for Ashley. And when I say beautiful island, I mean absolute H-E double hockey sticks hole. Leon discovers that one of his former training comrades, Jack Krauser, played by Jim Ward, who is believed to have been killed in a helicopter crash 2 years prior, is responsible for her kidnapping in an attempt to get close enough to Sadler to steal his new Plaga sample. Ada and Krauser are working with Albert Wesker, played by Richard Waugh, aka one of the main antagonists for Resident Evil. Krauser is suspicious of Ada, but doesn't act on it immediately. Sadler orders Krauser to kill Leon, believing that no matter which one dies, he will benefit. After Krauser's defeat, Leon rescues Ashley, and they remove the Plagas from their bodies with a laser. Leon confronts Sadler, and with Ada's help, manages to kill him. However, Ada takes a sample from Leon at gunpoint before escaping in a helicopter sent by her employer, leaving Leon and Ashley to escape via her jet ski as the island explodes.
So, after you take me back to my place, how about we do some, overtime?
Where are you going, Leon? Leon, shoot those barrels on that wagon. Look, there's a crank over there. Leon, I see it. The door's locked. I gotta open it. Don't just stand
Leon! Sorry.
Somehow I knew you'd say that.
Off into the sunset, roll credits, and also make one more sexual remark.
Hunnigan, is that you?
Finally, the line's jack free.
Hey, Hunnigan, no glasses.
Forget the glasses. What's the status of the mission?
I've rescued the subject. We're returning home.
You did it, Leon.
Thanks. You know, you're kind of cute without those glasses. Give me your number when I get back.
May I remind you that you're still on duty.
Story of my life.
Now that we've gone through the glorious plot of Resident Evil 4, let's get into its development. Following the near end of Resident Evil 2's development in late 1997, plans were in place to make several new Resident Evil games, one being branded as a true sequel featuring Claire Redfield, one of the 2 protagonists of Resident Evil 2, the other being a spin-off entry called Resident Evil 1.9, featuring Jill Valentine of Resident Evil 1. They were all planned for the PlayStation 1, except for the true sequel that was being made for the Sega But there was one problem. Sony had the limited rights of Resident Evil 3's name for its own console already. This posed a problem for Capcom, as the true sequel, which was being made for the second Dreamcast, couldn't be called that. That led to the alternate sequel to Resident Evil 2 with Hunk that was being also worked on at the time, being given that title instead, while the Dreamcast game was now simply titled as Resident Evil Code Veronica. So for all you fans of Code Veronica who wish it was a mainline game, technically it was going to be, but because of all of this crap, it wasn't. So, cry, losers! The game was to take place on a cruise ship with Hunk from RE2's bonus mode, The Fourth Survivor, being caught in a viral outbreak while on a mission to retrieve the G-Virus. This setting was being made as a way to keep the series fresh. However, by 1998, the Sony was revealed, which put pressure on Capcom on the idea of releasing this alternate sequel so close to the PlayStation 2's launch, due to how far behind it was in development, as it could kill its sales. So, the series creator and producer Shinji Mikami was tasked with pushing the game to the PlayStation 2. Hideki Kamiya, who was the director of this alternate sequel and also the director of Resident Evil 2, followed this push to the next generation hardware. However, instead of continuing the same story, it was scrapped because Hideki Kamiya wished to start over with the idea of utilizing the PlayStation 2's hardware for the story of this Resident Evil 3 game. But with this game restarting development as of mid-1998, it would mean that it could take a while for a main entry to hit the market. As a result, Capcom instead rebranded Resident Evil 1.9 as Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and Hideki Kamiya's Resident Evil game was now officially going to be called Resident Evil 4. The new Resident Evil 4 was announced to the public by Shinji Mikami in December of 1999, along with it being developed for the PlayStation 2. The team started to plan out the new game. While Code Veronica's story somewhat explored the inner workings of Umbrella Corporation, aka the company that had plagued to the main characters in the series up to then, an idea was being made to further expand on it for Resident Evil 4 by directly tackling the family that runs the company, the Spencers. The story was being headed by Noboru Sugimura, who wrote the critically acclaimed Resident Evil 2, and it featured a story that involved the protagonist, Tony Redgraves. Tony was to be a police officer who is seemingly invincible, has superhuman strength, and high intellect. He had all of this due to the progenitor virus by Umbrella. The story would involve Tony uncovering the mysteries of his character that would lead him to Melee Island, the home of the Umbrella facility that would eventually lead into the revelation of Tony being the son of Oswald E. Spencer, the founder of Umbrella, as well as the secondary plotline featuring Tony's twin brother, Paul Redgraves. The major catch for this, however, was that Hideki Kamiya wanted Tony in the game to be a cool and stylish action game. The departure went as far as to get rid of the fixed camera angles and the pre-rendered backgrounds that the series had been known for up to that point. It just would not look cool enough for Hideki's vision of Tony Redgraves on screen. Of course, the team realized how much of a departure this was from Resident Evil games. This even included series producer Shinji Mikami, who felt it strayed too far away from being a survival horror game. Eventually, Mikami convinced the staff and Hideki Kamiya to make this into a brand new franchise instead. And so, this version of Resident Evil 4 was now rebranded as
Let's rock, baby.
So, with Resident Evil 4 becoming Devil May Cry, development had to restart again in 2001, this time with designer Hiroshi Shibata taking over. Despite Sugimura's story becoming Devil May Cry, he was brought back to write the story of Resident Evil 4, and this time one that was much more in line with previous entries. The Spencer Castle and the progenitor virus ideas came back for this new story. This time, though, the protagonist would be a grand return of the Resident Evil 2 protagonist, Leon S. Kennedy, who had since been forced into the U.S. Army, specifically within an anti-Umbrella team, participating in raiding the Spencer Castle where Umbrella's headquarters are located. The operation, however, goes wrong when the team encounters a new BOW, called the Black Fog. Surprisingly, this time the BOW was not made by Umbrella, but by their competition, HCF, which is run by arguably the series' main antagonist, Albert Wesker, as a means of an attack on This leads to the team getting caught up in their feud, eventually leading Leon to be the sole survivor. Unfortunately, like the kick to the shins, Leon gets infected with a retrovirus. This leads Leon to battle his way through the castle while resisting the mutation, revealing Umbrella's many secrets. Leon finds a girl who was being experimented on and protected by a BOW dog. She could control and would end up joining as a second playable character, sounding very similar to a different character. Places that would be explored included the remains of an ancient underground civilization where the progenitor virus is isolated within its superhuman king. This all points to how Umbrella was just a cover for Oswald Spencer as an attempt to utilize the progenitor virus to achieve immortality. The version of Leon in this build looks quite similar to the final iteration, but at this point his coat had a bigger, more noticeable puffy collar, as opposed to the final games. While the game was initially being built to be ported to other consoles down the road, Shinji Mikami had plans to make the game an exclusive. Mikami's view on the PlayStation 2 at the time was that Sony was focusing less on gaming and more on incorporation of DVD functionality. Mikami wished to support Nintendo as they not only were making a gaming-only machine, but were using mini-discs instead of regular DVDs. As the development shifted to the GameCube, developers were entering unfamiliar ground and had a tough time working. As a result, Nintendo assisted them in learning the development tools, something that made Mikami's support even stronger for the company. On September 13, 2001, Shinji Mikami held a press conference where he announced that the Resident Evil numbered series was now to be made exclusive to the GameCube, with ports of Resident Evil 2, 3, and Code Veronica to follow. With such a strong tie to Nintendo now, Capcom doubled down on Mikami's GameCube support by announcing the Capcom 5 deal. This was a deal that would make 5 Capcom games exclusive to the GameCube. In addition to Resident Evil 4, these included Beautiful Joe, Dead Phoenix, PNO 3, and Killer 7. In fact, Shinji Mikami was so confident about keeping the series exclusive to the GameCube that in an interview in 2002, he literally stated that Resident Evil 4 will definitely release on only the GameCube. If it comes out to another console, I will cut my head off. Who's gonna tell him? The team continued with developing what many dub as the castle build. Problems were coming up with the star villain of the game, the Black Fog enemy. Since it was a mass of floating tentacles that somewhat resembled Resident Evil 5's Ouroboros, it was too much for the GameCube to handle, and they scrambled to find a workaround but instead decided to change the story entirely once again. This time to one featuring Leon entering hallucinations and encountering enemies through a side effect of his mutation that would lead into the next build of the game, the Hallucination build. The castle build was now being scrapped with the script being given to another Capcom team that utilized it to make the game called Haunting Ground, a spin-off entry of the Clock Tower series, the second game that spawned from Resident Evil 4's development. In place of Sugimura, Resident Evil 3's writer Yasuhisa Kawamura stepped in to write the next iteration of the game, with inspiration taken from the film Lost Souls, which featured hallucinations, kinda like Silent Hill or James Wan's Malignant. Hallucinations were to take the place of the Black Fog BOW. Much like the previous build, Leon was still infected with the virus, but the effects are what lead to Leon's hallucinations. 2003 kicked off with the Hallucination build story taking place in a castle-like structure, which is unknown if it was still the Spencer Castle or something new. During exploration, hallucinations would suddenly spring up from which would tint the room in a blue fog, which was inspired by John Carpenter's The Fog. In this state of hallucinations, the room would warp, leading Leon to encounter monsters and paranormal beings, from killer dolls, a knight with an axe similar to the final product, and even a ghost with a hooked arm, which popularly was given the fan name of Hookman. The interesting part of this build is that it used traditional fixed camera angles when simply exploring, but switched to an over-the-shoulder angle when aiming your gun. However, another round of technical problems would come up with this build. In order to quickly switch between a regular room and a hallucinated version of the room, as both were two separately designed rooms, both had to be loaded in at once. This was made with the idea of using up all of the GameCube's RAM, but what wasn't factored in were the enemies. At most they were able to load in only one enemy, something the demo alone showed far more of. Therefore, this was another build that had to be scrapped by late 2003. With many of these ideas failing for either being too technically demanding or outright different, the team started to look back to the past, back to using zombies again. Up to this point, zombies were nowhere to be seen in early builds, but this was an idea that Shinji Mikami hated. He felt that zombies were becoming too boring for the established fanbase at this point. During development up to then, the Resident Evil 1 remake was released on GameCube, and was met with critical success, but commercially, it was an absolute failure, becoming the worst-selling game in the franchise to date. Matters only grew worse as Resident Evil 0 sold even worse. While some may blame the exclusivity to GameCube, a console with a small player base, as a reason, to Shinji Mikami this was evidence enough that the series was growing stagnant and losing its audience due to the repetition of zombies. This as such led Shinji Mikami once again to hitting the brakes and restarting development. While not much information has been released and known about this build of the game, we do know two things. It was scrapped because of being too similar to previous entries, and there was one crucial enemy made for this build that would impact development later, called the Dabamen, which was in fact a non-human enemy. Daba means pack horse, which might have meant that these humans were carrying either a virus or a parasite. With Shinji Mikami back to reinventing the series, it became a welcome change for most of the staff, who had also felt the series was getting too played out. In only 3 weeks, Mikami wrote the story himself, removing the focus from the Umbrella Corporation and bringing more of an action focus, while making the game changing over-the-shoulder third-person perspective. While many were glad to have new and different changes, some of the staff weren't as thrilled about the series changing as the others. While Leon was kept from previous builds, the other element that was brought over was the Dabamen, or now known as the Ganados. In this situation, it was meant to mean the carrier of something such as a parasite that would be eating them alive. Though it was something different, they were still very similar to zombies, but the major difference being that they would still retain the human intelligence, allowing them to work collectively and use weapons, and even be able to weave and dodge. On top of that, there were a lot more of them, at once, in comparison to other zombie hordes prior, but that may be because the power of the next generation consoles at the time. So, there were many concepts of scrapped enemies and designs from the main development of RE4, so I'm going to just go over some of the notable ones. There was going to be a Ganado with 3 heads, some Arabic Ganados, a jester-looking female Ganado, a shapeshifter monster that was an early design for the Regenerators, a monster called the Electric Man, a straight-jacketed woman with certain designs showing her with a giant hand, and a Ganado strapped with dynamite. You know, I was gonna make a joke about this one, but I decided it wasn't worth getting cancelled over. So yeah. I mean, I'll give you a hint of what it was going to say using footage from Jackass 2 if you want.
My name is Eren Nagihi, and this is Terror Taxi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You ready, though?
welcome to the best skit of this movie.
Money, I give you money, lots of money. I got a
gun, dude.
in the trunk.
Yo, we're filming.
Please, sir! Oh, God, no! Oh, my God, dude.
Now, of course, there was many scrapped concept stuff, like early design for Ashley, a watch that was going to be a tribute to Shinji Mikami for being the creator of the series, and heading RE4, the knife being in your inventory instead of base kit, the binoculars that Leon uses for like 2 scenes being an item that you could use throughout the entire game, a silencer for many guns, but the original pistol one was given to Wesker as part of the Mercenaries mode, homing mine darts for the mine thrower, a guitar case and book key items for some reason, Ada's knife being a key item you could get, ammo for the Chicago typewriter, 2 random stones with minerals in them that were probably treasure items, and many, many more designs. They were even going to bring back Tyrants and Hunters, which have models and animations that went unused for some reason. Resident Evil 4 released on January 11, 2005 for the Nintendo GameCube, and on release received acclaim for its gameplay, graphics, story, characters, voice acting, and won multiple Game of the Year awards. records, eventually becoming a multi-platform hit, selling over 16 million copies as of filming this video. Resident Evil 4 is widely cited as one of the best and most influential video games ever made, and influenced the evolution of survival horror and third-person genres, popularizing the over-the-shoulder third-person view used in games such as Gears of War, Dead Space, and The Last of Us. Resident Evil 5 was released in 2009, and a remake of RE4 was released in 2023. It also was one of the most popular games for YouTube gaming Let's Plays content. Resident Evil 4 has a long history of ports basically being on every console ever since the PS2 and GameCube, except for the first Xbox, DS, and any obscure console that nobody would know. RE4 was ported on GameCube, PS2, a PC port by Ubisoft, the Wii with motion controls, mobile, PS3, Xbox 360, PC port by Capcom, Wii U, a PS4 version, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series XS, Switch 1, Switch 2, an Oculus Quest 2 version, and the legendary Zeebo. What is the Zeebo, you ask? Well, I have no f***ing clue, but you can look at the trailer to see the gameplay on the console. It's, something.
6 years have passed since that horrendous incident. It was right before I was to take on my duties of protecting the president's daughter that she was abducted. Who would have thought that my first job would have been a rescue mission?
It's absolute cinema! It's the greatest thing I've ever seen! Look at it! Later versions and or ports would add the Separate Ways DLC, adding onto the story of Ada Wong and Luis Serra, Assignment Ada, a short campaign on the island with Ada, and Mercenaries. They also had a shooting range, which you could do to practice your shooting, and collect special bottle caps. So now it is time to talk about my history of RE4. How about this? We'll go... Okay, here's load game. So, as you can see, this was my first ever playthrough I ever had was this. This one is the one I had. It was on normal difficulty. It was the first time I'd ever played a Resident Evil game, and it was the first time I ever played Resident Evil 4. Then, I got the VR version. Now, the VR version, ironically, it is crazy, though, that I bought the VR version after this. But I guess the VR version had been was about to release around this time when I got this game. So I begged my dad, and I got it on the VR version. And I played that game on the VR version religiously. Like, it was legitimately my favorite thing to do was go on VR and play it. Now, I never beat Mercenaries on there, nor did I unlock everything. But that's also because the Mercenaries is way harder on there. But I loved it, okay? Like, I beat the game so many times. Now, they don't have professional difficulty in the laser gun, and they also censored the sexist remarks, which I guess I get it, but, like, still, I look at it as that it's 2005. I think if you look at it from a 2005 perspective, it's very accurate. Because, obviously, they made it in 2005, so... You know, if they have sexist remarks in the game, that's just showing the times, okay? So I don't really hate it. I get where they were coming from, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But, yeah. Then I came back on my Switch, because what happened was my VR console, the controllers broke. They won't work, because I probably hit it off the wall so many times when I was playing. And I'm so sad, because they updated Blade and Sorcery, and I love that game so much, and I want to play it so bad. I want to play the new update and everything. I haven't looked into it or anything, but, like, I love that game. That game's so cool. So, I kind of go through these phases, where I go in and out of playing Resident Evil 4. Right now, I went through a phase where I played it for a little bit, and that phase led me to beat the game on professional difficulty. Yes, I beat the game on professional difficulty. Now, this time is inaccurate, if you want to know. Actually, this is my accurate time. My accurate time is 120 hours. Oh dear God. There's 120 hours is crazy. But that is not an accurate time. Okay, this right here, this is not an accurate time that it says. If you leave it on the Switch, it will count. It will rack up the time even if you're not playing. So that's inaccurate. Both of these are. And then I went back because I got the laser gun, and I went back and played it again because I wanted to see the laser gun, and I thought that was really cool. And then I speed ran the Separate Ways DLC. Yes, this time is real. I speed ran it because I wanted to get through it and get the Chicago typewriter like as soon as possible, which is what led me to do that. I believe I finished the game as I was playing this, so I hadn't finished this one. Actually, I don't know. No, I did finish it. I played back through here and finished it. And then after I beat the Separate Ways DLC, which I will say, I really don't remember what happened. To be honest with you, because I speedran it. I really wasn't paying attention as much. But I do remember most things. I mean, like, I remember a lot of things. I played back in the movie browser. I went back and watched the stuff and everything. Like, it's cool. And everything. I like the story and everything. I love this game's story. I know people don't play these games sometimes for the story, but I you know. Then you have another playthrough, which is professional difficulty. This playthrough I did with the Chicago typewriter. And then you see normal difficulty. Oh, wow. So, normal difficulty. This was not mine. This was my dad's playthrough. Yes, you heard me right. My dad beat Resident Evil 4. Because your boy taught him. AKA, I did like 50% of it for him. I maybe like 60%. Like, I did majority of it for him, which is a little frustrating, but I get it. But he did promise me he would play through it with all of the guns, because he wanted the infinite ammo guns, because he sucks with ammo, and he sucks at shooting, so he wanted easy. He wanted to enjoy the game for what it is, I guess, by just having infinite ammo and everything, which is fine, I guess. He did play it, though, technically, and he knows everything that happens in it now, which is probably better, because then he can go in knowing what's going to happen. So then he isn't confused and doesn't know what to do and everything, like he has a memory of it. But I did teach him to do it, and like I did show him how to do things. The more when I played, it was more me showing him what to do and what I would do and teaching him things. So that was more my perspective on it. So like technically, though I did play for most of it, I was teaching him it so he understood it. And then I would have him play. But I am proud of my dad. He said he would play it. And obviously, while that was happening, I did my own playthrough again. Because I wanted to beat the shooting range, which is when I did that. So, yeah. Now, obviously, I will say, there is Assignment Ada, which I did beat. I played Assignment Ada right after Separate Ways. I played both of them back to back. Now, also, I'd like to mention, on my first ever professional difficulty run, I had to save 79 times. I had such a painful time playing it. But yeah, like I enjoy it so much. So my goal is to get the hand cannon and play one more time on professional difficulty with the hand cannon. But obviously I do not have the hand cannon yet, and I want to get most of my footage, my own footage on the professional difficulty with the hand cannon. Now also, obviously I would still need to beat this. I still need to beat this playthrough, of course. So that would give me some time to try out the hand cannon, and because I have 4 million paydas, I can buy everything. You know, like I can pay for all of the upgrades and everything, which is sick, because that's what I want. I want all the upgrades. So, yeah. Like, that was my idea for that. I would finish that, and I would start a new one. Now, obviously, these were from my first playthrough. You know, obviously, I'm going to get rid of those. But yeah. The clip that you just saw was filmed way before I got all of my footage for Resident Evil 4. This game means so much to me, and I love it dearly. I love the Resident Evil franchise, and I love Resident Evil 4. And honestly, it's probably my favorite game. This video was very fun to make. It's the longest video I've done, Honestly, it's probably one of the funniest. I think the humor in this one was honestly great. So excuse me while I cut my big cheese and I eat my Jill sandwich. There you go. Also, I saw The Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day. They're great. You see the sun meme? Yeah, it was good. Here's my own rendition of it. It's time to eat.
Vayan por detrás. ¡Bloqueale el pasto!